Spurge here, and in this video we're going to break down the Street and Steel square-toed harness boots. So if you're looking at these, this is really going to be aimed at that classic American V-twin rider. Also, potentially somebody that's out there a little bit more lifestyle oriented in the bike of choice. So maybe they're someone that's on a modern classic-esque motorcycle that has a bit of a heritage inspiration to it, Royal Enfield, Triumph, or you're just running straight down the middle of an American V-twin, Harley Davidson, Indian, brands like that. And this is really going to be a classic boot styled after something like we've all come to know from Fry. Personally, I have a pair of harness boots that look very close to this that were made by Fry. Problem is, Fry is a premium brand and they now command premium prices. Really what we're seeing from Street and Steel is they've also incorporated a bit of motorcycle features that you would want from this from a protection standpoint, with reinforcement at the heel and the toe, and a price that's not going to be upwards of $400 the way Fry's are now. This is coming in around the $150 price point, and you're still getting full leather construction throughout as we talk through this video. Definitely like the construction on this, like the hand to it, and it fits true to size. Speaking of sizing, sizes will range from an 8 up to a 14. I'm typically a 12 to a 12 and a half in my motorcycle boots specifically, and I fit in a 12 in these, so really no surprises from where I'd expect to be from a sizing standpoint. The one note is that it's very narrow, to the point where like it's borderline too narrow even for my foot width, and I'm typically like a D width, but it's a very narrow boot. And I think some of that is coming from the fact that the reinforced toe on this kind of works its way down the side. So you're actually getting a bit of reinforced protection to the outside, the lateral side of the boot on this. But just keep that in mind, that when you get this, because this is true leather, it's going to break in a little bit, but it's also something that, because that TPU reinforcement works its way down, it's not going to break in completely to the lateral side of the boot. So just keep that in mind. A bit of a narrower foot, if you are an E width or above, I would say you're probably going to want to steer away from this. Now, when we're working through the main construction of this, like I said, it's going to be a 2mm heavy-duty cowhide, and it's going to be hand polished from the factory. So you get this really nice hand to it. And the other thing that's going to note here is that there's an extra reinforcement as you work your way up the tongue. There's a double layer of leather in this area where typically you would want a little bit of extra reinforcement. The 3-strap design for the harness, you've got polished rivets. Black is the only colorway. What I would say is I would love to see a brown. Like I said, I've got a pair of old Frys that have lasted me for 25 years at this point, and I've had them resold numerous times. And I love the fact that they come in that kind of like worn brown. As of right now, black is the only colorway. It is going to be a stitched Goodyear welt sole. So you can see the stitching on this actually goes into the first layer, and then the bottom layer is glued on, but you are getting stitching into the top layer. So you can, in theory, once you wear out the sole on these, take them to a cobbler and have the sole replaced. Now, from a rigidity standpoint, around 5 out of 10 on the rigidity scale. There is going to be a TPU reinforced shank in the midsole for those of you using this on your motorcycle, and you want to have that extra little bit of support there. Solid multi-directional gripping pattern. One of the things that I will say is that the grip pattern on this is better than a typical Fry style boot for use on a motorcycle, where you might be in some slippier conditions and you want that extra grip. Really like the grip panel on this. About a 1.5 or 1.5 rather inch lift from the heel. So if you are looking for a bit of extra lift on this, I would say you're getting about 1.5 inches from the heel, and then about 1/2 inch throughout the rest of the sole. So you are going to get a considerable little lift with this particular boot. 13 inches overall as far as the height goes. Bit of reinforcement at the heel cup as well, and then 2 pull-up straps to be able to help get the boot on and off. If you've never worn a harness boot before, when you're putting this on for the first time or you're taking it off for the first time, it does take a little bit while to break in. You really feel like you're yanking on it to get it on and up and over your foot. But that's because once it's on there, it has no laces, no straps, no extra ways to keep it on. So it's kind of like pulling a cowboy boot on if you've ever worn cowboy boots. Probably giving you a little bit too much insight into how I spend my Saturday nights down at the old dance hall. But yeah, for those of you looking for a simple motorcycle boot, or if you're simply looking for just a stylistic harness boot without having to pay premium designer prices, I like what Street and Steel is doing with this. You get that full cowhide leather construction, but around the $150 price point, it's a much more affordable option than what we're seeing from some of the premium designers out there, with some extra motorcycle features worked in to the reinforced reinforced toe and the heel. Only critique is because this is designed for motorcyclists. If there was a little bit of reinforcement at the ankle cups on this, especially behind the metal buckle, maybe just some foam axial padding or something in there, that would have been nice to see. But for the most part, it's very much what you would expect from a square toe harness style boot from Street and Steel. So if you have more questions on this, you want to hear what other riders have to say, you can always click the info button on your desktop or mobile device. You can read other rider reviews from folks that are already putting the square toe harness boot through its paces. And if you're not sure as to which pair of motorcycle boots is right for you and your riding style, you can always reach out to one of our customer service representatives and they can walk you through all the different boots available to make sure you find the right boot for you as well as your budget. I want to thank you for joining us today for this look at the Street and Steel square toe harness boots. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.